I moved back to Atlanta about 10 years ago, and one of my homegirls is she owns she's a esthetician,
Mm-hmm.
and she was working full time. I was working full time, and she's like, I think I'm gonna go back to school and become an esthetician. I'll be honest, I didn't even really know what an esthetician was. And I was like, oh, okay, girl, that's good. And then she was like, yeah, because I want to open up my own spa. And I'm like, you're in marketing. What's a spa? And she's like, yeah, I want to work for myself. And I was like, oh, that's good for you, girl. And so when I would see her talking about like some of the ups and downs, I'd be like, But then I saw how passionate she was and how much joy she got out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just like, I want that, but I don't know what I'm that passionate about where I would go through it. And so it
Right.
was just really odd that it's like, of all things, socks are, but it was like the like most obvious unobvious thing for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
It's like
Just kind of
something
worked.
so simple, but like also at the same time, there's a reason behind it. And it's crazy. We already getting into it and we didn't even start. But like these are the types of things like I like if you don't mind, like just being
Sure.
honest about the process. Because I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
everybody has an idea, but I feel like there's so many people who like we just said, people think about the great things about the dream. There's so many people who think about the bad things about it, and that's what stopped them from actually even trying the dream instead of even
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself out there. So I think this is great because it gives a true side to both of your experiences and like help other people be like, listen, if you got it, go for it. No, it's not gonna be easy, but you might as well try it rather than just sitting back and like wishing that you did. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the
Sisters Podcast.
The Sisters Podcast. All right, welcome to season 3, episode 2 of the Sisters Podcast. Um, I'm just gonna get right into it. So, this person that I have today, I actually met her at work, and just within 30 minutes of hearing her story, I was like, okay, I have to figure out somehow how I'm gonna get her on the podcast. And we actually bumped into each other in the hallways, and I was just like, you know what, maybe this is my opportunity to go ahead. So, we talked for a little bit. She said yes, and I was like, okay. She was so eager to be on it. I was just like, all right, this was easier than what I thought. And we exchanged contacts, and now I have Clarisa here, who is the founder of Slightly Bougie. Clarisa, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good, and sorry, I didn't even. Let me come correct. She is the founder of Slightly Bougie, which is a sock company, and she's here to tell us a little bit about her and about her journey, about her story, and I'm so excited to hear for you guys to hear this. I don't want to jump to it, but she was in New York because her company was being displayed in Times Square, which is a great accomplishment. I'll make sure to have that video up there. But Clarissa, tell the people about yourself, who you are, where you're at, where you're from, and just give a little introduction.
So, yeah, my name is Clarissa, and I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I am a dirty South girl from the South. What I will say is, I was in corporate America for over 20 something years. I was in HR, and I was so stressed out. I didn't even know I was stressed out. And so, I had started doing Pilates, uh, gosh, maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And I'll put a pin in that. I started doing Pilates. It really started helping me. To kind of throw back to who I am as a person is I never really was like a fashion girly. I would try, but I don't even think I am one now. But anytime, any space that I went to and I felt uncomfortable, it was about how I looked and how I appeared. And because I wasn't a fashion girly, socks were always just my way of like giving myself the confidence to like go into the room and to achieve those things and to say it with my full chest, 10 toes down, and make space that maybe people didn't think that I deserved, or you know what I mean, or just kind of passed me over. And
Mm-hmm.
so my socks just gave me that confidence to be like, I mean, I might be wearing the same shirt that I wore for the last 3 days, but that's all right because my sock game is killing them. Okay. And it just gave me like that invisible confidence. And so when I started doing Pilates, one of the first things when I felt like a fish out of water, I was like, okay, let me get my sock game together because coincidentally enough, one of the things that you need is a grip sock. And I've been collecting socks seriously like all of my life. I'm really ashamed to kind of show my sock collection, to be honest with you. But when I started looking at grip socks, it just like it just wasn't getting right for me. And so that's why I was like, you know what? Let me find and figure out how to do this myself. One of the things that you and I rapped about is like entrepreneurship is something that for me, I ain't never really wanted to do because I never found something that I was passionate about. And oddly enough, I was like, I know socks. I might not know nothing else, but I know socks. And so as I started really trying to get myself comfortable in Pilates, I was like, let's just really own something that's always been a part of me. And for me, that was socks.
Wow, that is, there's so much. Okay, so let's start. How long has the company been around?
So, again, what I'll tell you is like, I believe in God. I believe that He puts things in place, things in you in places and spaces. And He gave me this vision 2 years ago, right?
Mm.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. And so I did start. But sometimes you get hard headed and you start,
Yep.
what I'm saying, doing your own thing and thinking you know your own way. And when you don't listen, he got a real funny way of being like, okay, well, since you don't know how to pay attention, since there's
Yep.
so much noise going on, we're gonna take that noise away. And so in 2023, when I worked for a major online retailer, and when I found myself laid off because again, I'm from the South, they wanted me to move up to Seattle, and I'm like, I can't do that.
Mhm.
uh, it got real quiet, and that kind of forced me to stop and look into, okay, do you want to go back into corporate America? Like, where are your talents? And so that's where I buckled down, and I really got serious about the business. I brought a couple of samples where I could kind of show you, but when I wasn't really paying attention, I was half doing it and the products really suffered. And so when I took it seriously and really sat down and started thinking about it, I understood my mission. I started taking into account some of the things that I had learned over the last 20 years in corporate America. And so for me, if you're going to be intentional about something, you got to believe in your product. And so
Mhm.
that led me to Hangzhou, China, where I actually met with several different manufacturers because I wanted to ensure that the intentionality that I had behind the product really was expressed in my sock quality. And so I went to China and met different manufacturers and really had to narrow it down. So to answer your question, it's been around for about 2 years, but I've really kind of stepped into really owning it for a year, and we launched officially back in February.
Wow. So congratulations. Let's start there. That
Thank
is
you.
amazing. And God is so funny. He has a funny way of making things known to us. He's going to tell us, but he's also, he gives us the choice to actually do the things. And then when we hit these obstacles, it's like, all right, you're gonna do what I actually called you to do. And so like that place of silence, I love that you say that. That place of stillness puts you in a position to go back into your passion, your purpose. It's so funny because I think when people think about passion and think about purpose, they think about these things that are so far beyond our reach instead of the things that's right here that we can grab. And so, God places people and things and visions right in our face. But us as humans, we have the instinct of like, I'm gonna find my own way and find my own vision. So proud of you for, sticking to the
Thank
vision that
you.
God placed in your life and, to start this company when so we met because she was taking a Just Sims class, and I was the producer for that. Excuse me, the assistant for that class, and I had got a bag of this lady on the cover, which is probably you, and it was like I gotta find it because I'm like, oh, this is cute, and the person that gave it to me was like, oh, someone from Jess's class gave this to her. When you get a chance, give it to her. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give it to her right now. I have time, so I took it to the back. I gave it to Jess, and Jess looked at it, and she was like, wait, this matches my outfit. She was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. I'm gonna put them on now. I said, yeah, you should put them on now.
First timer here at Peloton Studios, New York from Atlanta, who I'm happening to wear her socks right here, casual, slightly bougie, let's go baby. Went perfectly with my outfit, couldn't have planned that better.
Not knowing that like you were gonna come into the class so vibrant, you were so ecstatic that Jess had your socks on. Like I just saw the emotion and the joy behind it, and it was such a great class because it was all Black women. It was Black History Month, and it was really giving Black joy magic, like just Black girl magic. The whole class, like Jess had access in the beginning, like what does your Black means to you? And she even gave me a chance to speak. And just hearing your like what you said and the other women around the room, it was very inspiring. So for us to get to this point right now to have this conversation, like it's nobody but God. Like it is literally nobody but God. So
let me just say this. The one thing too is like, I know like in today's society, we're finally getting the credit as Black women to know like, hey, we've had some like really tough obstacles to overcome. We always are told you got to smile more, you got to do this, you got to do this. But oh, by the way, can you still save the day? And so I do think that the tides are changing. We're starting to get those flowers. But one of the things that I can tell you is that every part of my journey has been reinforced by Black women, right? And so I love that. And there's spaces and places where, growing my dad was actually in the military. And so I think there's a few years, I don't even know that I knew I was Black because we will move from like the blackest of the Black neighborhoods to the whitest of the white neighborhoods. And so I'm over here with my duck heads talking about, do y'all listen to Ace of Base? And they're like, what are you talking about? And then the next school year, I'm over here trying to Tootsie Roll doing Eni Kamosi. And they're like, so Kurt Cobain just dropped. So I'm like, what? I don't know who's which, right? And so like the appreciation for people who look like me, sound like me, but also are multifaceted came alive in that room because we talked a lot about duality. But then also when I think about this journey, you know what I mean? Like, how is it so crazy that the person who is assistant producing Black woman, the person who's teaching a class of Black woman, if you look at majority of the people that I've been able to use through my business, whether we're talking about my photographer, my web designer, all Black women. And so I will also share that, like, again, we talked about God, and the journey is there's been so much help and support that I've gotten, but it's all been from like different homegirls that we've shared just along the way. And again, how funny it is that I've, come back and had friends who I'm like talking about, like, oh, I'm doing a sock company. And they're like, yeah, remember when you did my resume a few years ago? I really appreciated that. Now they're a senior, whatever in marketing. And they're like, oh, what? Pause. This is what you need to do. This is how you get into Times Square. And I'm like, oh, okay. Then, I'm talking to another homegirl who's like in logistics, and she's like, say less. Here's how we're going to set up your like warehouse so that way you can be efficient. And it's like, again, just the fact that like it's been very intentional to put some of these Black women in my life to be over and over again has just been amazing. And I think one of the things that I've told myself is that I try to keep my expectations very humble. And at a minimum, we just going to have a really great story to tell the girls at the nursing home. But I just love that in that it could also just hopefully serve as like a reminder to like younger Black girls, like, if you believe it, like, mama, don't let these folks lie to you. You can achieve it. Like, don't let them lie to you. You can absolutely do it.
Absolutely. And hearing it from another Black woman, like, and sometimes we may not want to hear it from our parents. We may not want to hear it from our siblings, but like when you have some strong Black women around you and you see them doing great things, like I tell my girls all the time, y'all got anything y'all need me to help y'all with? Y'all have any questions? Like, please come to me. I think the appreciation for Black women has skyrocketed. I feel like we've gotten to this place where, we, like you said, we're starting to get our flowers. People are starting to appreciate us some more. And like, just the community of Black women sticking together, the community of Black friends sticking together, of like encouraging each other and helping each other to get to that next level, and not, gatekeeping or keeping us back from, reaching where we know that we can be. It's very, very humbling, but it's very inspiring to see. So I agree with you for sure. I agree with that. And it's crazy that I said inspired because my next question is, what inspired you to want to create the socks in this unique design? I know that you said Pilates and that kind of what started it, but all of your socks have grips on the bottom?
Yeah, so all of my socks have grips on the bottom just because I personally wear grip socks a lot when I'm walking through the house. I wanted something, like I said, at its heart, when I first kind of came up with the idea, it was a grip sock. And so that way, I think, again, I'm new in entrepreneurship, and I know when you're trying to please everybody, you end up pleasing no one. And so
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be very specific in my targeted niche. And so I'm thinking, okay, I do Pilates. I want something that can be a multifaceted sock. And so that's why they have the grips on the bottom. But what you'll see in some of the different styles is I have different textures and different material qualities. So that way, some are a little bit thicker. So you may not want to wear those with shoes. And then some of them are a little bit thinner. So that way, it does offer you the stability. So one of the socks that Jess had on, for example, it is a little bit of a thinner sock, but that's so that way she can still wear her J's and her foot is solid in the J's, but she's not over here killing her toes, and you know what I'm saying, getting bunions and stuff because you're wearing a sock that's like super, super thick and you can't
Right.
move. That's not the case in my socks. And so I did want a sock that was a little bit more multifaceted. Again, we think back to us, but yeah, I try to just be intentional in terms of like your sock quality and your thickness, so that way you were able to wear it in different environments and spaces.
I love that it comes down to even that slightest bit of detail. Do you know how many times my foot has slipped in some socks and like I didn't even think to be like, maybe it's because I needed some grip on the bottom. Like when you think of, well, I'm not gonna speak for everybody. When I think of a grip sock, I'm thinking of like socks that won't be sliding around the house. But it's not just around the house; it's the shoes that you wear. Like when you're working out, when you're just walking long distance, like that also plays a part in it. And you have one of the socks that you first started with, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You want
Yeah. So like listen, I'm gonna show you. So this sock is so let me tell you this. When I designed every single sock, I was thinking about some of the people in my life and
to?
like what roles they played, what they did to like inspire me. And so actually I'm going to show you this sock. So this is probably one of the socks that are this is closest to me, just because this sock is called the Kelly sock. Now you can see from a quality standpoint, um I was not going to sell this. You can see my logo was a mess. And then I don't even know what kind of florals this was
Hmm.
that I was able to produce ish. But the final looks like this. So if you look at
Wow, two different completely
it,
socks.
completely different. But the thing is, this sock is called the Kelly, because it's actually named after my sister. I had a sister who passed away when she was younger, and she had yellow roses on her casket. And so every year, it's crazy, but it's like on her birthday, which is the beginning of May, right around that time, I always plant yellow roses in my garden. And it always blooms like the week of her birthday, which is the first week of May. My roses always bloom. And so, again, when I was thinking about a sock, I knew I had to have something with a yellow rose. And so, when you see this one, that's why there's yellow florals, because it represents Kelly, because she obviously was my sister and she passed away when I was 7 when she died. And so, I only remember like that yellow. And so, again, when you come to my house, this room has these on the back, but I have another room in my house that has like it's the yellow room. And so I'm intentional about things and spaces that kind of remind me and bring me joy. And so I wanted to feel that same joy, and I wanted her to, kind of look upon,
It's okay.
sorry, I wanted her to be able to, just kind of be proud and have something to still know that, like, she's always been significant in my life.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
No,
So,
please do not be sorry, because I am over here trying to hold back my tears. First of all, my condolences. It is very inspiring that one of your first pair of socks that was near and dear to you was, you know, in honor of your sister, and the yellow flowers that you plant in your yard every year, the yellow room, the socks behind her. Like, please know that she sees that you are doing and honoring her every chance that you get, seriously. And, you know, even the fact that that was your first pair and you was like, this is not how I'm about to honor my sister. Like, and you redesigned it to something so beautiful. Like, it really is the small things. Please do not be sorry. This is
oh
very,
man.
very inspiring to hear. And like I said, I'm so sorry to hear that. But to, you know, create something so beautiful, just down to the socks, down to the flowers, down to the room, like that, that's really amazing. It is.
Yeah. But again, intentionality. I wanted to, if I'm going to produce a sock, I told you, it gives me confidence. And every sock that I have, all of them have names. And even down to some of the colorways, I was really specific in like what I had in mind. Like, will that, ensure perpetuity of my organization? Probably not, right? Because I need to appeal to a greater masses. But for the first launch, I wanted to come with something that like you get a piece of me, right? Like this is me. If I'm gonna put myself out there and I'm gonna really own it, like I was gonna own it. I'm gonna jump in. Like I said, I don't really know how to go slow. I'm 10 toes down about everything. I don't even know if that's probably to a fault in some cases, but every sock is gonna have some type of personal story that's attached to it.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things too, it's like, you know, we all trying to make a buck. We need this bread. This economy is crazy, but also like the money can't be the first motivation. Like, cuz I just feel like that is when the problems will come. That's how it's just easier to quit on it. You had a passion and something so simple of just like making yourself known that I'm in the room. I don't care what type of shirt I have on, but you see my socks. This is designed for me, for my this is a representation of who I am. And that was your passion, and then incorporating little things that have kept you along the way, whether it's people that you met, your sister, like colors that you like, into your product, and helps you to keep going, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, it is. Because I think you hit the nail on the head. I'll be honest with you. I have wanted to put in my 2-week notice on this entrepreneurship thing a couple of times. Like, who I need to talk to? Who the manager? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh wait, that's me.
Right.
Yeah, like, wait a minute, or like, man, somebody need to come empty this trash. Oh, that's me
That's
too.
me.
So like, it is crazy because again, when you're talking about being an entrepreneur and you're talking about you're the marketing director, you're also, you know what I'm saying, the person who proofreads everything, you're also the designer, you're also the lead packaging person. I do have a manager who is my 11-year-old nephew.
I'm pretty
uh
sure he's strong on you too, huh?
Let me tell you something. My nephew is so funny. He currently, like, he has, so downstairs in my office, I have like a desk. And so he has taken this dry erase board and he has made up an email address in case somebody stops by the office and needs to contact him while he's out. Now, I don't know who has this email. I don't even know where he got this email address from. Okay. I don't know what it actually leads to because it's something he just told. But he's like, in case they need me, and then every weekend when he comes here, he leaves me a list of something he needs. So currently, he needs a mug because he
Mm.
needs a mug for his desk, so that way he has a mug for when he's in the office.
Right. So he knows that he's not just your manager, but he's about to be managing other people. Okay, we'll give that to the 11-year-old nephew. What's his name?
His name is Blake, and let me tell you
Oh.
something. Blake is so funny. He is like I say, he's 11, but his like personality is hilarious. Like he is on the money. Between him and I do have a dog, Hillman, who is security. They keep me in check, and I have to make sure that I'm accountable to my two employees because if nothing else, they're gonna make sure that I pay them even if they don't do any work.
Somebody got to stay on you, right? Even in your own business, somebody is telling you what needs to be done and what needs to be changed.
You got to be accountable to somebody. But here's what I will say. As much as funny as it is for me, I also do love that it gives him that permission to dream, that like permission to like think big. And if you think that that's too big, think bigger and then bigger than that, right? Like there's no limit. I know we say like sky's in the limit and that's like kind of corny, right? And you think like, oh, but no, for real. So, Blake, we're doing socks. What do you like? I know you want a mug, so that way if people are out, if you're out of the office, but like come up with 2 or 3 ideas of what you want us to do next. What socks? Like if I know you love to right now we wear the same size shoe, so him getting into my J's has actually been kind of problematic and I'm ready for him to that foot to grow a little bit more so he can go ahead and step out of my socks.
Right.
But just introducing the conversations to him so that way he can start to kind of visualize and see like, oh, wait a minute. Like I can come up and design something and like execute it. I love that it gives him that permission to like dream big because I don't know that I had any personal entrepreneurs in my life growing up to like know, hey, that this is that's possible. That didn't happen until much later in life when I saw other people doing it around me.
It's amazing. And honestly, it's one of those things too where exactly what you said, like the you didn't have that in front of you. So the fact that you can give that to your nephew for him to see at a young age is like, everybody plays sports. And that's one thing that we know, that every kid, when they're born, you're going to try this sport. We're going to get you to see what you want to play, whether it's soccer, baseball, softball, basketball, you're going to play something. But there's so much more out there. They can play the sport, but they can also be an entrepreneur. Or they can play the sport and they could be a doctor. They could play the sport and they could, and do other things instead of just honing down into that one sport. And the fact that you are inspiring your nephew at 11, his wheels are turning. He's like right now, like he's serious about that mug too. But he's getting to see like what does a boss have? Do they have a desk? What's on their desk? Do they have a laptop? Like, do I need a notebook? Like, just the small things to like get his wheels going. So when he actually gets to the chance, and 11 is not young enough, he can start his own business right there. But when he gets to the chance to be like, actually, this is exactly what I want to do. It didn't just start off of a fake dream or something that he saw on TV. Like he actually saw that it's an arm's reach, and I actually can do it if I want to do it. And I think, that's been my biggest blessing with this podcast, of like just hearing people's stories and like how it's not only inspiring them, but it's inspiring other people too, to like break through their obstacles, or like try something new, or like start a business, or just different things. When I created this podcast, I knew I wanted my sisters to be on it. I'm the oldest of 5, so I have all sisters, and I knew that I wanted them to be on it because that's the idea I have in my mind of like doing a podcast with just them. I didn't realize how many like amazing people that I was going to connect with and talk to and like get up here to share their story, and like how similar but different our stories are. Because we all have the same emotions. So like that's how we all connect with each other, but our route to our final destination or our journey itself is different, but we're still able to share some type of of the same journey in a sense, with just our emotions that we're going through. So I do appreciate you opening up about Blake. That's amazing. It really is. It really is.
Listen, it's a shame at 42 my best friend is 11, but homie is the funniest person I know. Listen, And I also love how he puts together the world. Like when he first started learning about like slavery, he came home and was like, were you born free? Like, what was it like when you were? And I'm like, bro, I was born in the 80s. What are you talking about? And he's like, so in the early 1900s when you were born. And I'm like,
yeah. Let's reel it in, you 2000s babies. Come on, we not that far from you guys. That is actually funny. Oh my gosh. So, what's the most rewarding part of owning your own business?
I mean, honestly, I really will have to say it's probably that, right? Um, it's probably my nephew, but then also it is absolutely. So I went to the University of Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the two-time SEC champs. And we just made the brackets for the first time in 10 years for NCAA basketball, talking about sports
Yup.
girlies.
Talk your junk, girl.
Uh, I'm like, how about them dogs, baby? But I would have to say that in that, again, I'm in HR. And so a lot, I was in HR, and a lot of what you do in an HR space is not what you learn in a book.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily what the law or policy is. So much of it is what you pick up. So much of it is what you engage in conversations that you've had with other people. I bring that up to say that in now being an entrepreneur, there were only certain spaces that I could reach out and talk to when I was trying to learn, just
Right.
because just accessibility, right? Or again, I don't know anybody that was selling socks. So there was limited information exposure, but then also not a downs to anybody, but there's a lot of people who are like, well, if you want to learn what I learned, you can for the small price of $19.95. And I'm like, but I'm just hearing your opinions or your experience. I'm not necessarily like, you're not like sitting next to me learning, right? And so
Right.
not a downs, don't want to knock anybody, but I personally get so much joy out of just sharing what I know. If each one teach one, if and again, that's been something that I started back when I was early in HR, like, hey, I know how to code switch. And so I can read this policy, I can interpret it, but then I can come back and talk to my employee population like, yo, check, this is what they say. Okay. Let me hear that. And it's almost like speaking two different languages and going back and putting into place some processes and creating resources so there's that pipeline where it's advantageous to both ends. And so what I can tell you is like now being in a position where I can be a blessing to others. I can say like, oh my gosh, you're having a studio where you're teaching to, children from different neighborhoods that maybe have never had experience to yoga. Don't worry about it. I have an extra 5, 6 socks that I can send to you. Let me, you know what I mean? Like, you don't got to put my name on it, but like, let me get you this so that way we can start to teach them this. So like being able to just be a blessing in different spaces, being able to talk to students on campus. I was on campus last month and talked to some of them about entrepreneurship and talked to them about like, hey, listen, don't knock corporate America, right? Like you're over here like, I want to be an entrepreneur tomorrow. It take money to make money. Okay. So
Right.
let's not, I'm not gonna lie to you that you can just be on a zero-based budget. Let's also be responsible here, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like use corporate America to fund your dream. Use them as much as they use you. So just being able to like talk, to see that light bulb moment come on, to be able to brain dump and say, like, listen, I'm gonna just dump it out there. You pick up what you can use, throw
Right.
out what you don't want, keep what you can use. Being that resource, helping people is really what has, made that light bulb come on, right? And honestly, that's what's been able to make it successful for me, because I think there's places and spaces where I would have had to pay somebody to do something, but because back in the day I did their resume and da 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 da, because back in the day I did mock interviews with them and help walk them through this situation. We've been able to develop a really authentic relationship where it was never on a tit for tat, but now they see like, oh, I want to bless you how you bless me. And so we're working together as a community. And that's how I just think how things should work. You know what I'm saying? I think the more selfless you are in different spaces, the more people want to bless you. And so that's where I feel like I want to continue to be that blessing and just being able to be a channel of positivity and hope that you can do it, right? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I still may go back to corporate America one day. I mean, I don't know. But like you can figure it out as you go. And it's okay to not know. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's just
That makes
my best part.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I wanted to start at the fact of one, that's a part of networking. Not even like it could be coincidental, it can be, like not even by plan, but like networking with people goes a long way. Like being genuine goes a long way. Just like, oh, you need help with this? Like, I'm gonna help you just off the strength because I know what I'm doing. 10 years down the road, not even understanding that you know what I need help with right now, and you're coming to help me because I freely help you. Like, there's this, I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's like, no, yes, like I said, everybody want to make a buck. I got it. But like, free knowledge, like, we pay for stuff that we don't even need to learn. Like, it's like we spending this money on stuff that we're not even talking about right now. Like, it's okay. Like, that's the part of meeting people and conversating with people and talking about your ideas and they're talking about their passion. It's like, oh, wait, you know how to do this? Oh, I know how to do that. I can help you. Cross. Boom. We got it done right there. Because it goes further than how much money you're spending. If I'm spending money to have a conversation with you, you don't need to be in my corner. Like, it's like, I will support your business, of course. Like, I have no problem doing that. But like, off some knowledge of just like interacting with people and having a conversation, you just never know how that person actually might bless you in the long run. So definitely want to start there because you're absolutely right with that. And then the fact that, like you said, you're going to the schools and you're going to give back and helping the students understand, about entrepreneurship and you can't start a business with $0. Like, yes, we have strong faith and we believe, but like we got to be smart about our strong faith and believing. Like, come on now, like, so that also plays a part in it too. It's like, yes, um, it's funny that you said that. I graduated with a degree in media, which is why I'm working as a production assistant now, and in 3 years, who's to say I want to be in media? Like, what if I, go try something else? Like, there's a invisible timeline that we give ourselves of like what we're supposed to be doing at what exact time, and it's like God's erasing that. Like, hold on, I got something better for you if you just relax and let me take the wheel and drive you to where I want to be. But it's like, I think we put ourselves in these timelines of like how long we got to be somewhere, what we got to do there, and like all this type of stuff. It leaves us less inspired to do what we actually want to do or try something new or like put yourself out there. So obviously we got to start somewhere to get somewhere. But it's a journey, and like we might be climbing one day, and we might be walking another day, and I might be sprinting one time, and I might be slow jogging. But as long as I get to where I want to be, or like where I think I should be, or like my passion or purpose, I think that's what makes the journey the journey. And there's something that sticks in my head all the time. It's not the destination, it's the journey. It's not where you're going to reach because once you get there, you're gonna be like, all right, so what's next? Where I'm going, who I'm seeing, who I'm meeting. It's one of those things where like, no, take that journey, take that road that you need to be, and you never know where you might take a pit stop or who you might, cross paths with while you're walking through the hallway. It's literally the simplest things. But it helps us to stay inspired and, continue to walk that path.
The one thing too that I think like I don't know if I don't want to just say it's Black women. I mean, it could be all women, it could be everybody, but just not being afraid of your own light. Like last time I checked, the sun could care less if it blinds you when it starts to shine, right? So why
That's good.
is it that we hold back so much of our light? Like I remember being in a corporate space and getting like my first global role. And it was a very large role. I was responsible for several thousand associates globally, levels of leadership. And I'm like, are y'all okay? Why would you trust me with this? I still use my fingers to count sometimes. So
Right.
like who idea was this, right? But then not realizing, like, hold up, let's pause, girl. You have a few letters of the alphabet behind your name as well. Okay. You, ma'am, also have multiple pieces of paper with your name on it too. Like, you actually do deserve to be in this room more so than some of these other folks that are sitting in here. And so, I think just also just that permission to give self to be unapologetically amazing. Again, I ain't never known the sun to be like, so I'm gonna shine today. Y'all got some sunglasses, or y'all got some, like, you know what I'm saying? Y'all got some suntan lotion. What y'all ready? Because I really would like to shine today. It
Right.
don't happen like that. You just adjust. And then you're like, well, wait a minute, I need some more of that sunlight. Wait a minute, I want to go to where I can be even closer, because we do shine. And so I think when we own that light within us, it does start to radiate, and it gives people that permission to also be amazing and to own whatever space they're in as well.
That is so good. That is like so good. That is a word right there. Oh my gosh. No, seriously. Like, it's like sometimes we're afraid of our own light. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's because of like a bad situation where we shine our light bright and, people try to dim it, or the people around us, you feel the jealousy or the heat. So it's like, maybe I shouldn't shine my light right here. But it's like, you have that light within you for a reason to shine. And like you said, the sun gonna come up and shine no matter what. Even behind the clouds, it's gonna still try to shine. Wow, no, that is a bar. Wow, that right there, that's a word, and I needed that, and somebody else did too. So that is very true. It's so true. It's like, you know, and I don't want to say it's just black women. There's other women that probably feel the same way. But it's like you have that power to shine. You have the tongue to speak. God gave you that vision, that dream, that light within you to use for a reason. Don't let nobody dim your light. Don't let nobody tilt your crown. Hold your head up and walk through that. And I have a RBF. That's what I like. I have a strong RBF, and I don't mean it in no harm, but it's strong. And then once I start smiling, people are like, "Oh, you fine." I'm like, "Yeah, sorry." Like I'm just locked in or focused. But like when you start to be more in tune with who you are, and as simple as your smile shining through the room and helping other people just to smile, it's like you won't look at it as such a negative thing, and our light is not negative at all.
Also, can I just pause there? Because earlier in my career, I was not even early, throughout my career, I was always told, like, you make facial expressions, or, oh, how you look or whatnot. And again, I actually have a tattoo. I got my heart on my sleeve, because I
Mm,
will, in a minute, I'll be like, "Huh." And usually my face will tell exactly what I'm thinking. And I've always had to be apologetic about that. But, like, do you not think, because just because your face got too much Botox in it and you don't have emotions, why I got to be apologetic that, like, I'm thinking and I'm processing, or that like, for
right.
years I would, like, give people like this goofy smile when they were talking, just so that way I wouldn't be like
Mhm. Mhm.
having, I don't even know how to say, like, because I wouldn't have my own face in a like, who else in this world, in this universe, do we say, hey, whatever your resting face is,
Right.
like, what your face look like when you are not showing emotion, that is a problem. Like, who else is told that? Because there's a
Right.
lot of
Right.
people who face, I would probably say it was problematic for me. But do I force them to, like, sit in the mirror and be cognizant so that way they feel comfortable with
Mm,
how I hold my face? Like that,
right.
like, just, that don't even make sense. Like, don't
Right.
hold your face how you naturally hold your face, because that doesn't make me feel comfortable.
And that's just fakeness. Honestly, I don't want to be fake. Like, you're lucky. I thought I lost you, but it's like, let my face do the talking for me. Like, like, come on now. I'm not really, don't try to be no disrespect anyway. But this is who I am. Unapologetically me. This is what you're gonna get.
Right.
I'm not gonna harm you in no way, but this is who I am. And you're, like you say, you're not asking nobody else to change or to think differently or to move differently. So let us be who we are and who we're called to be. It's just that simple.
You're not saying anything is wrong with my speech. You're not telling me anything is wrong with my performance. You have the audacity to sit here and tell me you don't like the way that my face is held in its natural state without showing emotion.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, okay. Some odd right there, but we'll carry that later. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Oh
just think
my
like
gosh.
I think for me too, like being in a position of like working with, resources and understanding like, hey, I'm listening to what you're saying. And if I'm intently listening, my face may not be given Peter Pan and the crew, I'm like, yeah, I'm listening, like I'm taking it in, I'm processing it so that way I can give you an educated response, right?
Right.
And so I think for me now, working in environments where people aren't like, we just you're not going to tell an owner, let's go, like, oh, I don't like how you held your face that day.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great product. It's a great price. But I don't like the way you held your face. Like, but at the same time, what I did learn is the appreciation for networking, like you said, and making sure that I take care of people and making sure, like, you may not like my face, but I'm 10 toes down about you. And I want your business to grow. I want you to be successful. I want the people around you to be successful. So if you come to me, I'm going to take it seriously and you're going to have the same kind of outcome. My face that I made isn't important. It's what my outcome is, what I'm actually producing. That is where we can start to put the gold at and understanding how we can move forward. So, yeah, I mean, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent,
No,
but
you're fine.
I'm like, I'm with you. I hate that so many of us have had to like manage our facial expressions that really aren't facial expressions, because it's like I don't know anybody else in this world who have ever sat in a room or even a performance review or even just read in a performance review like they make faces, or you know what I mean, like their face
Right.
when they're sitting there. And so to hear you say it was like, man, I hate to hear that you had, like, again, I know that's a lot of our stories, but every time I hear it, it just frustrates me to point no end, because I just think it's a very unfair assessment of, hey, here's what your body of work is, and that's judged based off of your natural face.
Right. And regardless, we're gonna get the job done. Like, regardless, we gonna get it done. Like, you wouldn't ask us if we wouldn't be in this position if you knew we couldn't get it done. So let's just call a spade a spade. We're gonna get it done every time. So, and it's so funny because it literally leads me into like the future of your company. Like, what is the vision? What vision do you have for the future of your company? Any upcoming projects or expansions? Like, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, so number one, it's funny because Mark Cuban actually just came out with the article a couple of days ago talking about funding and Black women. And that's actually been something that has been important to me, that I really want to limit any type of borrowing situation and making sure that I use my severance to start it, and then really just taking anything that I earn and being able to like fund it and grow from that standpoint. And so my growth trajectory is going to be a little bit slower than what it could be if I were to take a loan or something like that. But again, just like you said, it's not the finances that are important to me. That's not my number one. But to answer your question, what's on the slate? A couple of things. Number one, I do want to scale into other sizes, i.e. for men, and then also for children. Again, I think back to my nephew. He's 11 now, but when he was younger, homie was crazy. He still is, right? He just takes off running at random times. And I can't tell you how many times he's done busted his butt. And I have to say, like, the hospital's closed today, so I suggest that you walk. Okay, stop doing that. And so being able to like put some grip socks on him at that younger age would have been great. I know there are some options, but again, would love to do mommy and me's and just being able to offer a full scope. But then the other thing that I had researched and found is a need for diversity in terms of compression socks. And specifically medical grade. So whether you have like gout or you have any other type of foot things where you need it from a medical necessity. Also, if you're traveling for long flights, but then also I have a good deal of friends who are in the medical profession. And so they talk about standing on their feet for so many hours and that they need compression socks, but they want something that's a little bit jazzier than what's on the market currently. And so that's what I'm currently working on is scaling into men's and kids socks. But then the next thing outside of grip socks will be compression socks.
Okay. So we have some grip and compression socks to look forward to. So we were so far into the conversation, didn't even get a chance to even talk about it. You have like 2 other socks that you have on standby near you. Talk about the price, talk about like where people can find you, like so they can see how they can get a pair of these great socks.
Absolutely. So you can go to my website, which is slightlybougieSocks.com. So I brought in 2 other ones that have been 2 of my best sellers. So this sock is a slouch sock, so it does come up your leg. Now, I am a girl of the 90s, so think, Maya, think that 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 video where she had on the tennis skirt she had on the UNC jersey. That used to be me back in the day. I never left a good slouch sock. Okay, you always need that. And so this is Ashley, or this is the sock called Ashley. And so she's a slouch sock, again, gets you a really good slouch. It also has arch support. It does have the grips as well. But this is also one of the socks that I made that is more of a multifaceted sock, so you can wear it in different environments. It does go really nicely with some shoes. So I do have a lot of girlies who are runners or do a lot of like CrossFit, weightlifting, really like how it looks with their legs. Again, I'm a girl's girl. Black girls have some beautiful legs. I love our legs. And so with your shorts on and you have this coming up your leg, creme de la creme. And then I also have this sock, which is called my Carolyn. Carolyn was my grandmother. She died when I was a baby. And so I don't know a whole lot about her. But I have seen different pictures, and then there is like an old blanket, and this material reminded me of that. And so that's where this sock is like this material. But this is made of wool. So it's a little bit, this reminds me of those like Netflix, put your feet together and rub them real good. If you got a boo, he might be okay with you actually putting your feet on him with these, but like, or she, but these socks, so I don't know. These are probably my 2 favorite, but then they're also my best sellers. And that this one does give you that real good rub your feet together feel that I personally like wearing when I'm watching my little Netflix shows.
Yeah.
And so these are my 2 socks.
And how much are the socks go a pair?
Yeah, so these are $18 a piece. And so what I'll say is when you're looking at grip socks, I do know they are not, again, in today's economy, I do want to be conscious of it. And so one of the things that I want to look at is, and then I'm constantly talking to my manufacturers about, is how can we making sure, like if there's a way that we can cut costs, is there a way that we can really making sure that we get it to market and the most affordable way possible. And so right now they're all at $18, but here in the future, I do want to get into, I have another sock that's called the Nisi. And so the next iteration of these will have some changes, but they will be offered in a 3-pack.
Okay. This is great information. Every color, every different pair of sock you brought up had a different color, had a different name, had a different story behind the name, and it's just so great to see. And when I was on your website, I'm like, this is amazing. Like something so simple as socks, like you designed to make it just so beautifully, and like literally has its own piece of clothing to it. And it's funny because I was just like taking down like notes of like what I saw on the story, excuse me, on your website. Like designed with a stylish edge, padded grip texture, our socks delivered unmatched comfort and performance for working out, traveling, lounging at home, or running errands. Our mission is to support your movement while adding a touch of luxury to your everyday life. Each sock design carries a story honoring the vibrancy and individuality of this slightly bougie company. Wow, so amazing! It literally is so
Thank you.
amazing. Because like I said, you add your own like unique touch to a pair of socks that has meaning, that has purpose, that is different fabric for different events or whatever you're doing. Like there was a lot of thought behind this business. And I'm sure the girlies and the guys that are gonna soon to come and the children are so appreciative that you took the time to, think about just the slightest of detail,
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, again, I don't know how to do things halfway. And so when I looked at, the product quality of this, I was like, I'm not putting my name on it.
Yeah.
And so, again, I wanted something that Kelly would be proud of. I wanted something that my grandmother would be proud of. My other friends, I'm like, listen, I'm put your name on this. I can't have them half stepping either. And so
Right.
yeah, it's a labor of love, and I think it kind of goes back to what we started the conversation out about, is that if you're getting into entrepreneurship to make money, your business is going to fail very, very quickly. But if you're doing it because you're passionate about it and you want to be the change that you want to see in the world, I think you're going to be successful.
And that's so crazy that you ended with that, because my last question was, what advice would you have for someone who wants to start their own fashion or business? And I think that starts it off right there. Like doing it for the right reasons and just going for it. Like what you said in the beginning. There's some days I want to put in my 2 weeks in. There's some days where like I'm like, all right, who can I talk to? Because this is too much. But it's rewarding at the end when you have a passion, you have a purpose behind it, and you have people that you do it for, that you just can't give up on them. And even to get this far, to put it out for a little bit, and to find your vision back to it, to circle back and launch in February and make it all the way to New York City, to have your business on Times Square. Like that is what drives us. That's the motivation to keep it going and kick it in. So on the days that it's hard, you think back to those days where you found joy and you have so much remembrance in your company and why you started in the first place. So Clarisa, congratulations. Seriously, it's great.
Thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you, and I appreciate you having me on. It means a lot.
Of course, no problem. I'm so glad. Like just as simple as doing my job and working and networking, and how far it can get you. So, so thankful that you were able to come up and join the podcast. And my sisters, my brothers, as always, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for tuning in. And until next episode, I'll see you then.